Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on our April 30th update on Canada's financial assistance plan for COVID-19. And I have Tina from Unitatis with me today to bring you three main updates. One is just a reminder to everyone that after next week is the third application period opening up for CERB, for the Canada Emergency Response benefit. So double check your eligibility. If you're still eligible, make sure that you apply after next week for the third period, and there will be one more after.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. This is Tina. Hi, Yifei. Hopefully next time we'll be able to see each other in the studio for the next updates.
and discuss more interesting topics than just the financial assistance programs, right?
Yes. Looking forward for those discussions, the fun discussions.
Now, I know today, besides just a quick reminder to everyone for the third CERB application period, we also wanted to discuss the much anticipated CEWS, which is the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy, right?
Yes.
It's finally opened up on Monday.
Yeah, a lot of customers, my clients calling me, asking me about the calculation. It seems like a little bit complicated, especially on how to calculate your revenue drop, how to calculate the salary decrease. Some clarification, I think, is required here.
Yeah, we were hoping to actually go apply and do the screenshot to share the process with everyone on Monday as soon as the program opened up. But when we actually went in, we realized that we need to prepare a little more on the back end and do a little more interpretation. So how about we start with just showing from the CRA screenshot on how the program looks like, and then we'll share the back end calculation with everyone as well.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good.
Now, as usual, from CRA perspective, it seemed really simple enough. It seemed actually, with just a four-step process, starting with just going to your CRA My Business account, and if you can select out of the three application periods here, whether the March 15th to April 11th, or April 12th to May 9th, and May 10th to June 6th. You just want to double check your revenue drop, which will show later on, to make sure that you are eligible for each period.
Exactly. And I think right now, because most of our business is still working on their April numbers, so we cannot really compare our May 2020 to 2019, right?
Yes.
So to be honest, right now, the only two periods we are able to apply is for the March one and the April one.
And the April one. Now, after selecting the period, the first part is to fill out your basic amounts. We put in just a sample number here with one employee at $3,000, and there's no rehire, and the 75% on that is simply $2,250.
Yeah.
Step 3 is the remaining section. The first part of the remaining section is your CPP and EI on anyone that you've already basically laid off in the past. So that's the amounts on the top. And then the next one is if you applied for the 10% wage subsidy on your CRA remittance already, this is where you would put that in, so you get just the net amount, because you can't take 75% on the wage subsidy and then still apply 10% for from your source deductions. So this, if you already applied for that one, this is where you would put in the amount as to decrease from your 75% CEWS.
Yeah, remember there's no double dipping. As we discussed the last time.
Yes. And the last step is review your total numbers and simply confirm to the conditions and submit your application. So again, from CRA perspective, this really is a simplified process. Now, as I mentioned, to get to the actual payroll numbers, it takes a little bit of calculation, right?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
So we're sharing with everyone the Excel calculation sheet. And the first one is the 75%. This is based on if you qualify based on your sales decrease. The highlighted cells are the numbers you want to fill out. And they seem straightforward enough. So we put in some sample numbers here. This is the month-to-month comparison. So March 2020 comparing to March 2019. April 2020 comparing to April 2019, and May 2020 comparing to May 2019.
2019, yeah.
It's everything else is pre-calculated for you. So if you meet the eligibility criteria, 15% or 30%, then it simply tells you yes or no.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Alternatively, the business also can elect to use the average revenue for January and February this year as a baseline.
So this is if the first one doesn't work for you, then there's an alternative. Actually, I had a client basically using the second method, and the reason being was last year they're a fairly new business. So last year they were mostly on business development. They didn't have too much sales. And finally this year the sales picked up because of all the hard work they did last year, right? And this is why initially they said, well, this if this didn't work for them, you know, it would really hurt their business because they spent so much effort last year actually building the business. So the second scenario really makes sense for businesses like that, is if you really picked up in January and February of this year and then seeing a drop, or if you are a new business, don't have last year's numbers, then you can reference basically your January and February numbers here.
Yeah, which is good for the new business. I mean, especially for those who just start up their business and finally
kind of a bad
see
time they hit COVID-19 right after startup.
But again, from my bottom of my heart, I really hope those business can stay, you know, stay strong. And once the COVID-19 passed, I think there will be a booming like opportunity for
economy,
all of us.
For sure.
Yes, yes.
Now, obviously, if you qualify, you can move on to the next tab. This is where you can actually calculate the numbers to put into your application. Now, the first one is the sample one we showed. So just a note on this column where it says not working at all. What this means is it's for those who are applying for the 100% CPP and EI refund, right? This is, let's say, for businesses that send their employees home, so the employees are not working, they're not even working from home, but the business is committed to paying their payroll still. If that's the situation for you, then you can apply for 100% CPP and EI refund as well. So this is what basically the note is for. And you want to do your bi-weekly. So here we put the bi-weekly as 1,500, which is 3,000 for the month. And the weekly total is 750. And then basically this, everything else just automatically calculates for you. It tells you what is the eligible wage subsidy based on your actual payroll amount. So those are the two numbers you can put in.
Yeah, so they can eligible for 75% CEWS. And if your salary is more than that, then we'll have a cap of like 100,
which is
847.
Yes, which is our second
scenario. Okay.
Where we showed if the weekly salary is 1,500, and it tells you this is 75% of your full salary, but it's capped at 847. So this is where we show now the max for 4 weeks on that is 3,388. And then the actual, your salary is actually $6,000. So obviously it's not 75% because you've hit the cap on that already.
That's right.
So those are the two new numbers you want to fill out. So this is the worksheet to calculate on your wages. If you have more employees, simply just add them to each line, calculate each employee, and then just add the total up to put in your application form.
Yeah.
Last note is obviously check your direct deposit with your business profile. Make sure that it's all set up before submitting your application.
Yeah, and then always remember, check your eligibility because there's always consequences, right?
Yes, penalties.
The government is basically saying if you are not qualified and if there's a fraud, then the repayment of a subsidy. And on top of that, there will be 25% up to 50% of penalties, which is also incredible numbers. Yes, yes.
The one thing we wanted to mention was the non-arm's length employees, which basically means if you're a business owner or if you are a relative, if you're family members of the business owner. So if you are, then the condition is your payroll wage subsidy calculation has to be based on the pre-COVID-19 payroll amount. So January 1st to March 15th payroll amount. And the reason being was obviously if you're a business owner, you can just choose to increase your payroll, right? So if you didn't take payroll before COVID-19, and now you want to qualify for this, right, by taking payroll or increasing your payroll. So the government says, no, you actually can't do that.
No,
So your calculation has to be based on the pre-COVID-19 numbers. So be careful if you are a business owner or, a family member of the business owner.
Yeah, anybody what we call non-arm length have to really pay more attention and make sure you did have previous
payroll,
salary, payroll to support
salary before, for
yes.
sure. Now, the last update from today is the rent relief program, right? Which I was super excited about the rent relief program because especially for us, we have a second location where we conduct government exams, in-person exams for the government. And now we can't do that because of the COVID-19, we can't do any of the in-person activities. So I was really excited to see the 75% rent relief. So our location that's just sitting there for this 3 months, we can't do anything and we still have to pay rent. I thought maybe we could qualify for that. But reading through the details, this program really isn't what the headline says. 75% rent relief. It doesn't really work like that, right?
I know there are so much details and the conditions and even some definitions is not, clarified yet. So yeah, let's look at what we have today. Yeah.
So, first thing, Tina, that threw me off is it says this is for qualifying commercial property owners. So tenants, like I don't go apply for this.
Have any,
it have to be my landlord to go apply for this.
That's right. Yeah. And what does it mean by qualify, right? And
we don't know what
definition.
Are the conditions. I know. Does it have to be like an actual mall, like a commercial storefront property? We don't know what this actually means.
Not yet, yeah.
And also just looking at the math, this says that the government will give forgivable loans to 50% of the 3 months rent.
Yeah.
But
on the other hand, the property owner have to sign a rent forgiveness agreement with their tenants to reduce their rent by at least 75%, which is
I know, which means at least it could be up to 100%. But if we do the math, the government gives 50. And the landlord forgives 75%.
75
there's,
at least.
There's the difference of 25%, which the landlord loses. Why would they actually want to go apply for this? What's the incentive for this for the landlord?
I know. And then they have to include a term not to evict the tenants during the agreement period, which means you still have to losing money on a monthly basis up to like a 25%, up to 50% of your rent to cover.
So it doesn't seem to make sense to me on that front. I don't know how many commercial property owners would actually apply for this. Now on that note, the qualification for the tenant has to be 70%
drop. Yeah.
In the pre-COVID-19. That's a big drop. How many businesses, besides coffee shops and restaurants that actually close, even for restaurants, they still have delivery and takeout services. So even if they see, let's say, even if they see a 65% drop in revenue,
they won't be able.
Huge. Exactly. Because rent is a huge part of basically, like restaurant or storefront businesses. Rent is a big part of their expenses.
I know, yeah. And for people who is losing, let's say they're losing 50% of their business, they are struggling, right? Like every one of us is trying so hard to keep on our business running as usual. But on the other hand, you don't see the incentive to encourage people, even they just losing, let's say 30% or 50% of their business, they are still struggling.
For sure. So I still remain skeptic about the rent relief program. And I'm hoping like the CERB, like the EI, when we initially talked about it, right? It seems like the government released some program initial ideas or conditions to gather feedback. And it seems they're updating the program, taking into consideration of the feedback. So let's see, this is supposed to roll out beginning of May. And I'm hoping when the program actually rolls out, it makes more sense than the conditions we're seeing now.
Yeah. I'm expecting like a more detailed coming out, and also how to apply like the online application process will be,
and a little
I guess,
more
will be released.
Process.
Exactly, more user friendly.
Yeah. Okay, so those are all the updates we have for you for April 30th. Just to recap, there's the reminder on the third SERP application period opening up after next week. And then we discussed the wage subsidy program and how to calculate, how to apply. And then we had a preview on the rent relief program, which hopefully will bring you more detailed updates in our next webinar, which would be in 2 weeks.
Great. Okay, thank you so much. And hope you guys stay safe and talk to you next time.
Stay safe and stay home. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Bye now.
Take care.
Bye.